So this angle puzzle is called Lynch lines. So if you look at your first diagram, you are supposed to keep in mind that all angles in a straight line equal 180 degrees. So you're going to take everything that you know about angle relationships and apply it to find out whose design is correct and whose design is incorrect. So we're trying to figure out if Paul's design has parallel lines or not. And so everything has to be true. They all have to be congruent in order for his design to be right. So the very first thing you're going to look at when you look at these puzzles is find something that we know. We know that one of those angles equals 40 degrees. If we know that one angle equals 40 degrees, then we know the one beside it equals 180 degrees together. So if one of them is 40, then that must mean that Z is 140. If Z is 140, then the one opposite, X, is also 140. That means that Y would be 40 degrees because those two angles, Y and X, would have to equal 180. So I have all my angles on the bottom. Now if we use what we know about corresponding angles, meaning if I put my bottom line on top of my top line, that means that 40 degrees would be up here where A is. And that means that B would be 140, 2C would be 140, and C would be 40. That's what they are supposed to be. We have to check to see if that's true. Okay? We can automatically tell that A is 40. B is 140. And C is 40. What we don't know is if 2C equals 140. So you'd set up an equation, 2C is supposed to equal 140. So in order to see what C equals, you have to get it by itself. So you're going to divide by 2. When you solve it, it says C equals 70. And you're going to look back and say, did my C in this angle equal 70? No, it equaled 40. And 40 does not equal 70. So angle C, 40 does not equal 70. So they aren't parallel. To be parallel, all of these angles had to match up and be congruent. So if angle X was 140, then angle 2C should have equaled 140. But it doesn't. C equals 70. And 2 times 70 would have given you 140, but it says that C is 70. And C is supposed to equal 40 degrees because angle Y and C are corresponding. Okay, so for any angle puzzle, you are going to take the given angles that you have first and use those and use what you know about angle relationships to figure out the missing sides. So if you look at angle X and you imagine picking it up and putting it on top of the top line, angle X and 135 are corresponding. So that means that angle X would also be 135. it's a good idea whenever you solve these angles to just look at the parallel lines and ignore one of the transversals. So I'm going to look at the ones that are in red. Okay, if we take the other angle that is given and we look at our parallel lines and only look at one of the transversals, we're given 70. 70 also is corresponding with Z. Because if I pick up the bottom line and put it on top of the top line, 70 would be on top of Z. So I know that Z is 70 degrees. All right, to find the interior angle for both of these, we know that the two angles together equal 180. So if we take 180 and we subtract 135, we'll get 45. So that means the interior angles equal 45 degrees. So we know Z equals 70 degrees, X equals 135, and we still don't know what Y is. But since Y is in the interior of this little triangle right here, and we know that this triangle interior angles equal 180 degrees, then you can add Z, which is 70, and the inside angle, which is 45. We get 115, and then we can subtract that from 180 to get our angle Y, which is 65 degrees. So since all of these angles are true, because they all have angle relationships, then that means that Jane's design is correct. So that means that these are parallel.